Fighting back against Mother Nature, officials in Woodford County say they are making great strides in trying to reduce the impact of those disasters in the future. In March of 2021, you may remember the Kentucky River rose to near record levels, flooding those low-lying homes, filling up basements, destroying their belongings and appliances. Many of those who live along the riverbanks in the Clifton area were actually forced to evacuate. Some returned, others did not. The county, though, has spent the last few years really working with FEMA to help buy up certain properties and then tear down homes, as well as help those remaining homeowners get their properties elevated. They've also been working with developers to help them understand certain properties' flood risk and where they build and what happens. Emergency Management Director Drew Chandler tells me the floods not only cause physical and emotional damage, but they really pose a greater risk to the overall community health.
People that are in flood-prone water, we may need to send rescuers in after them if they're trapped, and it puts additional people at risk in a situation that can be avoided.
Flood stage rulers to help measure all that water have been installed down at the riverbank to track and monitor water levels. Drew tells me it's really been a joint effort between those willing homeowners, the support and funding from our local leaders, and of course federal assistance.